Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mastodon podcast. I am Albert, and today we're going to be discussing Hushed and Grim and the newly released song, Pushing the Tides. This is also the first episode back for me for a while. It was going to be Mastodon who brought me back. I think some part of me knew that. This Zoom, where I'm recording this now, has an open invite to all of Mastodon's Reddit, and anyone can join at any time, which I'm excited about. What you saw at the start of this episode was a little bit of the music video for Pushing the Tides. So you've probably gleaned from some of my previous recordings just how much Mastodon means to me. They're an anchoring force. They are kindred beyond words, to get really real about it. And as I was watching this video, I felt transported in a way. I did the symbolic analysis of the zenithal crescent, which is, I'm calling that the glyph for this era now, of the Hushed and Grim era. And thinking about the creative force behind this album of Nick John has me in a solemn place and in a very, very respectful place towards the band, who have chosen to, as stated on mastodonrocks.com, the band have chosen to reveal this very authentic part of themselves, and they've always done so. But the reason why I call it the zenithal arc, the zenithal crescent, is they are at their prime, and they continue to be at their prime. This will be their best album until their next album, which will then be their best album. It's just the standard they've set for themselves. Periodically checking the site to make sure that when the limited editions, that I'm hoping will be announced, become available. Really looking forward to that. Hushed and Grim, Pushing the Tides. So you can see, if you've been following the Instagram, I've been very active in diving into this era. This and it happened all of a sudden, as I'm sure it was going to be. There was some lead up to it of like some leaks, as is mostly the case with modern releases. So basically, in the background for me, there's some heavy stuff. It's the first show back since my mum was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, which has several cells in the lungs, which is not a good sign. So we want the chemo, which we began immediately, to blast those away. Those little floaties in mum's lung. So it's my partner's mum, but she's my mum. More of a mum than any. Yeah, she's my mum. And her name is Naima. So maybe send a good thought out to a fellow human being called Naima going through some... This is the 3rd trial with the Emperor. So we're manifesting good things. And it's appropriate for me to come back with Mastodon, even though there's been some stuff with The Matrix and God of War in the background. It's a testament that this was the episode I needed to record, frankly. Something like cancer arriving, or heavy stuff, maybe it's COVID for other people. It gets you to reevaluate stuff. And for me, I did some reevaluation about me and podcasting, me as a producer, me in the media, art and entertainment sphere, the creativity sphere. And I had fluctuated between wanting it to all go away and doing nothing with it, and then changing things up with, I think I tried to do a stream of some kind, but that didn't work because it wasn't authentic to myself. And so then I also, as you can see, this is going to be 231 of the main show, that I did a lot of self-questioning about, authenticity, and seeing that word authentically on mastodonrocks.com was I felt very connected to that. Yeah. So I also don't mean to be a downer, folks. And one thing I'll say about the music is, are you fucking kidding me? How much that literally it's a head shaker. It's like it grabs you by the shoulders and sort of shakes you around and shakes you out of that sort of heavy space, and like that's, and it's just fucking bliss. It really is. So just pure gratitude. I was taking screen captures just now. I just watched for the first time Pushing the Tides, the music video. I think I may have said that, but anyway, and there's an angle that the camera takes on Brent, which is identical to the same. It's like the same vibe and angle, and he looks no different. He's aging really well. As the Capillarian Crest, which was the very first encounter I had with Mastodon. It was in 2008, and I saw them listed. It's actually through Aquatine that I heard from them. Or I think maybe it was either I heard of Aquatine through Mastodon or Mastodon through Aquatine. I think it was Aquatine through Mastodon, because I remember encountering Sea Beast. And then when I picked up Blood Mountain, which had only released a few years before, I was right after my army accident. And yeah, this band sort of just gravitated towards me. And Blood Mountain to this day is my closest right to my heart record, although I'm looking at everything from here, from Hushed and Grim, and it's the record of my lifetime so far. Like, I've never faced bigger, I mean, in the army it was being on a firing range and people forgetting about me, and then this album of overcoming trials, Blood Mountain, it really helped, and I continue to revisit that album. But this one being this double album statement about renewal from everything I've seen, and I've had some lovely confirmation from even before it was officially revealed. Paul, if you're listening to this, thank you. He chimed in the comments of one of my posts saying, I think he just showed his approval somewhere in one of the comments sections. And shortly after that, I discussed the Green Man, which is the central figure there in the middle of the artwork, right there in the middle of Nick John. And I feel awful because I really wish I could have, I don't know if Nick John joined them on tour. I don't think he did. Maybe they were just manager and he just sort of stayed there. But if Nick John was like nearby, I wonder if I may have just seen him or walked past him in Sydney. But for someone who created such a difference in these men's lives, I just feel that that adjacent, like, kinship, with the guy, because if we're talking about someone who informed and brought so much joy to the several people in my life that I just purely resonate with and cherish so deeply, and their work, these men, these father figures, I would say, actually, where for me there's been an issue with that. So I wanted to bring up the post of our lovely community member Heather Dubreuil. I hope I said your name even maybe close to being correct. Debrul, I'll say. Heather Debrul. AKA Purple Eyes of Fruit. So I came into awareness of the title, Hushed and Grim, then posted the artwork. I said, a new era begins. Mastodon's next 9th album, Hushed and Grim, featuring album art by the unmistakable Work Hard and aka Paul Romano. Their longtime visualist, great to see you back, man, has been revealed. Cover shards assembled by Heather, friend of the show. I am well and truly beyond speechless, beyond grateful, beyond everything right now, onwards forth, which is my valediction. And she said, a few people beat me to it. I pulled this from a comment in the Facebook fan group. Not sure who assembled it, though. It's so stunning. I want to get home, zoom in, and inspect it for Easter eggs. I see Nick John in the trunk, maybe. If so, it's a beautiful tribute. I cannot wait. And a 15-song track list. Beautiful. So I replied, that's right. That's our Nick. Depicted as a green man, a legendary being primarily interpreted as a symbol of rebirth, representing the cycle of new growth that occurs every spring. The green man is most commonly depicted in a sculpture or other representation of a face which it is made of or completely surrounded by leaves. The mythology of the green man developed independently in the traditions of separate ancient cultures and evolved into the wide variety of examples found throughout history and the world. So this launched me into like this inquiry, and that's one thing that Mastodon serve as a springboard. They're not just a heavy band. They, as what I just updated. I'm the main mod over on the subreddit, and I've just updated all the graphics there. And as part of updating all these album art and graphics, I ended up going through the history and creating. And in Call of the Mastodon's instance, for example, I created the sigil from scratch, just using my, Apple Pages skills. I haven't gotten across Photoshop yet, but I seem to do pretty okay with it. And so as this sort of, immediate, I snapped right to it. It was like this came to me. And it's so funny. I just the day before, I believe, or a day or maybe maximum of 2 days before, had posted Mastodon, the 9th album, releasing when it's ready. And Brent jumped in into the comments to correct, because I had initially posted 8th album, but it's actually the 9th. And then, that's like seemingly the day after, Metal Archives had a full listing of Hushed and Grim, and I'll read the track listing. This is beautiful, folks. Like heavy stuff in the background with us all, but Mastobirth, it's beautiful. Pain with an Anchor, The Crux, Sickle and Peace, More Than I Could Chew, The Beast, Skeleton of Splendor, which we heard, which I heard alongside a few who tuned into the live stream at the Georgia Aquarium, which was beautiful. Tear Drinker, Pushing the Tides, which you've heard now. Peace and Tranquility, Dagger, Had It All, Savage Lands, Gobblers of Dregs, Eyes of Serpents, Gigantium. That's looking like a double album in terms of the 15 tracks there, which is so generous, and I'm very appreciative of that. Blood Mountain similarly has quite a few. I think it's up there. I think we're talking 14 tracks for Blood Mountain. Let's have a look. 68 minutes long, Blood Mountain, and the rumor was that Hushed and Grim, I think it takes it into the 82-minute mark. So there's 12 songs with Blood Mountain. I just picked up from the Mastodon yard sale, which I highly recommend. I had lost track of my pamphlet, my Blood Mountain Survivor's Guide pamphlet, and they had it available signed, and so I picked that up. But then I also got on eBay and just a poster which I'm going to frame, because that record right here in my heart. So, but I am checking, because as I said, every album of theirs, and it's a personal standard they've set themselves, becomes their next best. Mastodon helped shape me out of this incident that happened, and they're already helping me restabilize and shaping into a better person coming out of this time. And the way I know that I'm speaking truth is when the top of my head starts like light shooting out of something, or it's like a little headache effect that happens, So I don't know if the lyrics are available here. Let's have a quick look. That would be lovely to have a look at those. No lyrics at the moment, but we'll go off of emotion now and then maybe dive into those later. The reason I'm setting up all these outlets is I have full intention of keeping them running, and I myself am a natural introvert, and I put myself as producer because I know I'm not the host with the most, I'm just me. So there's been a lot of acceptance I've done about that, and I actually feel pretty good about doing most of these ones on my own, and then whoever sticks around does, and whoever moseys, which is fine. Drifting, sorry folks, heavy stuff. So as I was saying about the Green Man, I was very honored to receive a personal message from DM, or direct message from Paul, saying that I was essentially saying that I've talked about the Green Man thing, like I think it was his nod that I guess I wasn't completely far off when I discussed that. So to kind of maybe in this time of, it's so interesting that one of the first songs is pain and an anchor, and sometimes with this sensation of feeling adrift, that anchor is wonderful, wherever we can get it, even if it is pain, I suppose. William Kelleher, Billy Butterslacks, it made me smile to look at when he has jumped on some of the posts with a like that's rad of you. But as an anchor, let's loop it back. I'll just read some of these posts for people who don't follow the Instagram. That is our Nick, front and center, Mastodon's most beautiful friend/family tribute yet. No other group of musicians and artists are so giving, thoughtful, unfettered in integrating and interweaving personal experience with and into their art. Each new creation is a home for a loved one's spirit, enshrined, to be remembered through the long ages always. And is the post itself, Nick John and the Green Man. The Green Man is a legendary being, primarily interpreted as a symbol of rebirth, representing the cycle of new growth that occurs every spring. I know I said some of this earlier, but just for completeness' sake. The mythology of the Green Man developed independently in the traditions of separate ancient cultures and evolved into a wide variety of examples found throughout history. By depicting him so, Mastodon are both honoring their friend and giving him a literal rebirth in the form of music and art. Next, we have hyena symbolism, which I read some articles in and I wrote this. Hyenas are commonly associated with evil and cruelty, given their grisly nature as scavengers, circling their prey. However, they also play a vital role in the ecosystem, wasting nothing. They are fierce, social, and smart. They symbolize both the undesirable and natural aspects of death, and how it is ultimately essential for life, birth from decay. The laugh of the hyena also has two aspects. It can be seen as both humorous and human-like, or haunting and ominous. Hyenas remind us of the duality of death as something both sad but ultimately a part of life. Mastodon and Gone with the Wind. This title is from the following quote, the album title. Hushed and grim, Atlanta turned painful eyes towards the faraway little town of Gettysburg, and a page of history waited for 3 days while two nations come to death grips on the farmlands of Pennsylvania. Mastodon's hometown is Atlanta, Georgia, and I believe the hometown Paul Cardin. I always love that name, by the way. If you just go to the about of Paul Romano, it's not Pennsylvania, it's Philadelphia. Similar names, but hey, while I'm here, let's read a little bit about Paul, okay? Paul Romano, who returns with this album. Yeah, that's. So I'm a visual artist, and I've always resonated with Paul's art, and I just want to say, I'll read from the Instagram post, I suppose. Incomparable art carved with unrivaled skill. Work Harden, aka Paul Romano, Mastodon's unofficial fifth member, has returned. Overjoyed doesn't even begin to describe it. It is comforting, honestly, in this time of unknowns, strangeness, and unexpected loss, to see his style and design sensibility adorn Mastodon's music once again. So I'm not a musician. I've done some singing, but so I connect mostly with art visually on that direct level. And without at the risk of sounding too sappy, is that's one thing. Is it's like why would you pick up the survival guide? It's a survival guide, man. Like that album is I don't know. I'm sure there's some people have like comfort blankets or things to kind of recenter and reorient themselves. And through the ages, Blood Mountain has been that for me. And Blood Mountain is the most Paul Romano album yet. If you see his photo here, you can see this man who is like he's standing, actually, he's looking at some anatomical paintings or sculptures, as it were. and he's got the sort of the fascia of the museum or art display. Fascia is like the the detailing of marble or whatever. It's that sort of beautiful ornate marble work kind of thing. And this is all across Blood Mountain. It's just marble work. It's just this. It's so sublime. Everything. It's one of the highest production value albums ever. Hushed and Grim just won over it. Just beat it out with what I'm seeing. And I know some cool things about that album art that I've dove into it, and I've dived into it rather, just from looking at it, and it's so beautiful, and it perfectly captures the mood of this time. And it's so interesting that this was just after Brand's coronavirus book. So yeah, we'll read from Paul soon because we've just been joined by El Serat, so let's let him in. Could be a complete unknown, but we can see who we've been joined by. Uncle Rat, rather. So is connecting to audio and can't hear me yet. So that's kind of cool to get an unexpected visit. It is honestly like as though we've just been recording and then someone just jumps on, and it'll be nice to get some different opinions. Hey, Uncle Rat, how you doing, my friend? Oh, you're coming up as muted. Maybe just unmute yourself, mate, and then we'll be able to hear you. So we were just discussing Paul Romano and his artwork, and I'm just reading from the site here. So Paul Romano is a fine artist and designer working and living in Philadelphia. Romano's work spans many mediums and aesthetics, nodding to art history and imbued with abstract narrative. He has worked with many aggressive bands across multiple albums, including Mastodon, Dalek, Hate Eternal, The Red Chord, and Withered, to name a few. His artist's statement, my work is representational, created in a wide variety of media, painting, drawing, sculpture, photography, and video. It is a result of personal experience, art history, music, myth, and narrative, filtered through allegory, archetype, and symbolism. While choosing realistic form, I am not as interested in reality as I am in the ideas of the imagination, evocation over accuracy. The audience is left with abstract narratives that ask more questions than give answers. Despite jumping mediums through bodies of work, my methodologies and sensibilities are consistent. Subject matter and formal concerns are strongly linked throughout my oeuvre, giving it a distinct voice. And this is very kindred to me because, as well as an artist, I have some drafting skills. He's also a designer like myself. As a designer, design attracted me because of the puzzles it presents, and the collaborative nature of the practice. Working with clients across a wide range of industries allows me to expand my knowledge and hone my critical thinking. My approach to design with research, problem solving, innovation, consistency, longevity, refinement, and punctuality have been a defining force into most aspects of my person. So punctuality right there, work hard. And I like that he has that right there in his title. I love that his title is either a pineapple or a rose with thorns, which I suppose brings him even closer to Hushed and Grim. Just as Hushed and Grim feels as Mastodon as ever, as quintessentially Mastodon as ever, it also feels as quintessentially Paul Romano as ever. Believe me, I'm just one voice, but if I can give you a glimpse, just to paint this picture for you, when the world, and certainly the Mastodon community, saw the Hushed and Grim decal full logo with the layered black and gold and the thorns and the new sigil, believe me, I think you had some tears. You would have definitely had some moments of profound gratitude for seeing Mastodon. It's not like we haven't seen Mastodon these past few years. They've just been being who they are, and this rang true to them. And as I messaged Danny, who was on the previous episode, I messaged him and I said, it's like after Nick passed, like a close friend, ostensibly a fifth member, a moment would have happened for them of the feeling of a void there. a void of an old friend, and more than an old friend. And Paul is also that. So it's the notion of this hole opening up and then them instinctively bringing in Paul to fill that void from that same staple kind of stock of, I'm also not that good with words. Never had really good economy of expression. But from that same place as, Nick was. Nick was Nick, and their manager and the person who propelled them. Paul came in, obviously, I think after they met Nick, but Paul is very close, just like Scott Kelly, and so it brought me a lot of comfort, and you can see there's a lot being said and expressed, and the tree form. It's like a tree also is emblematic of life, but then there's all the trees are missing, and all the leaves are missing, and in place of the leaves, we have lots of almost like memories and but symbols as well, and yet taken completely, it is absolutely brand new for Mastodon. Remember, they would innovate from album to album. The logo was this scholarly font, Adobe Jensen Pro, this museumly font, if you will, the sensibility of a museum actually at all times. It's interesting. Gojira had their recent video for Born for One Thing set in a museum, and it's like I think I would even maybe have accepted if I had seen in 2006 I saw the phrase iconoclastic for the first time when describing them, but I could have easily seen someone be like museum metal. I certainly saw thinking man's metal out there. But so we see thorns here. In my analysis of the shape, I said in symbolic language, this is for the zenithal crescent. In symbolic language, the arc form signifies both beginning, sunrise, and end, sunset. As well as evoking a pair of embracing arms, one that gives and another that takes away. 4 figures on each side, past and future, viewed from a bird's eye view, gather around a portal or a tomb. An octagram evoking eternal rest and remembrance. Zenithal means highest point. Thus, this glyph honors someone who always brought the very best out of those he loved. And that is very much who I recognize, again, without almost not like not knowing he existed. I know he existed, but for someone who he is the reason. You can see in everything from how they hold him in such reverence and how they've placed him more explicitly and directly at the core, like with Crack the Sky. That's it's so interesting. We show this respect of boundary and honor that boundary that Brand said. But all we can say is, in our own way, even though we didn't know her, Crack the Sky, that introduced us to Sky, and she is in our hearts, like as the Mastodon community. Like I wouldn't go so far as saying like our little sister, but we love her so much. And she's, again, with this thing I say of upon death, we simply just become the universe. We change shape into the universe. So she's around, and so is Nick, so is Brent's brother and Bill's mum. So for this album to come out now, I swear, wow. So we'll continue. We're jumping around a bit, I suppose. The armor beneath, which could also be having like the shed skin, of a snake. That's also something you can sort of see there. I just want to go to Darla Jackson's site now, who is Paul's partner. Darla Jackson Sculpture. Whose iconic rabbit with raven mask appears directly right there. It is the most, again, more personal and unfiltered than, like, this is more like, and it's so interesting that really suits where I'm at, because in previous recordings you have seen an angle on me, but you haven't seen directly me. Like 230 is the first one where it's like I really got, that was the sort of ground zero of things for me. And then this one is coming back, after however long I've been away. So I'll just bring it up here. A slow death. The heart dies a slow death, shedding each hope like leaves until one day there are none. No hopes, nothing remains. Arthur Golden. So this is Darla. Each series of sculptures begins with a feeling, something any of us could relate to, in this case, love and loss. After going through a well-timed recent breakup, I took everything I was feeling and poured it into this work. Everything I'd felt for years, each time my heart broke. It was like gluing a plate back together and breaking it again, gluing and breaking. Eventually pieces got lost, and soon the whole thing was mostly just glue anyway. What was real of what was left? I don't know. It all felt real until all of a sudden it didn't anymore, just like that. So Darla has skyrocketed her way up to right next to AJ Fossick, a very kindred sculptress. For me, the rabbit with the raven face, stunning. And I highly do recommend you please go to darlajacksonsculpture.com. Have a look at some of these absolutely stunning works. She's truly kindred. And in the eventual Mastodon Museum, which I think, I know in my heart I will be curator of down the line. Hey, why not? It would be lovely for her to feature some of her works, and maybe even commission a sculpture of each album from her, and so then that can adorn each sort of wing, sort of coming full circle to the museum metal boys now have a museum of their own. So I think I may end up being that figure. Yeah, like the Jeff Keighley for the Mastodon legacy of just on the outside, certainly. And anyone who isn't the four men to some degree is on the outside. However, I've been so lucky to speak with they're such kindred people, generous with their time, Richie Beckett and Skinner. And Paul is lovely, You're at any time, Paul, feel free to jump on anytime. I'm, as you can see, it's so weird. I'm in this position, and I think Brent would probably, him and I could riff about that. About what do you do when you feel like you're in a certain position? Do you continue? Do you stop? What part of you do you honor? What part do you push through? And it's so interesting. I came into this podcasting thing with a certain verve and a certain draw. And then I tried to step away, and then I came back, because so much of what I naturally resonate with is in and around podcasts. The art and media sphere is just there, and then it's like that kind of gives this substance to what I do and my creativity with the quantum myth that I'm writing and the pans that I do. So multifaceted art has always spoken to me, and it's like Mastodon are that pure expression of multifaceted art, and iconoclastic and cerebral, and then also purely expressive and cathartic. And so they have a universality to them, and I always maintain that. Like in a partner, for example, if you turn to your long-term wife, or even short-term buddy, if you have a good feeling about he, she, or they, you would be speaking my exact language, which is like, well, they feel like a mini universe, don't they? And when you have that universe feeling from someone, you're like, well, I could hang with you always, no doubt, because you receive the world, you receive life through them, as what they're going through, but they comport themselves like this ever renewingly, ever fertile, ever self-challenging, 360-degree omnidirectional, omniversal entity. And all four of the men in Mastodon are each of them unto themselves this kind of multifaceted universe. That's why they're in so many bands. So it might sound like a lot of word faff, but I promise you there's substance to it, and I'm not just saying stuff that is unfounded. So each of them are walking, talking universes as human beings, and as fathers and as partners, for sure. And same with Paul. and you heard in his artist statements just about how he values that so much cross section of like the myth and symbolism and life experiences. And I find that is the thing you life with. And when I turn to Ray, my fiance, I tell her, it's like, that's why I'm lifing with you. It's because you're a anthropomorphic universe, you know? And so what I love about folks like that, and I'll tail things off now, we'll cap this one off at the hour, but is when a group of human-shaped universes have been through a lot and are part of a time that the world is going through a lot, that would absolutely have catalyzed. Oh, third thing is that all these people have this edict, this self-given standard, not doing it for the fans. They just do it for themselves as part of who they are, how they were raised, and how they've chosen to be, is to just be authentic and be honest about where they're at. This record, you can see it has been taken. It has pushed the honesty threshold even further, maybe even left it behind from, they've just pushed past it. Because we're seeing, I can just envision brands saying, look, just Paul, you know us, you know what we're going through. We leave it to you. And then that's why he included one of the masked bunnies there, which is because he felt brought into that experience with the guys. And I can see that if you look at all of Mastodon's work, you know, it's always in the early times. You can see, you know, I'm just bringing in I believe the name is Joey chiming in. We'll see if everything syncs up really well, but or John rather. Yeah, it's like Paul, like they went on that journey together, and I think there was a bond that was created there. You know, unless they completely pivot and go with someone else for a couple of different albums, then, you know, that's going to be the artist that they've spent the most time with. So John, I'm not sure if I can hear you, but what I'll do is I'll just make sure all my audio is coming through the same place. So give me a second, John. Thanks for your patience. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, I guess to the max. Okay, John, can I hear you? Are you there? Okay, cool. Yep. All right. Well, that should be good. So, John, if you can't hear me, that's okay. But feel free to jump out, then jump back in. But otherwise, I guess I'll continue. So, and I was actually dialing things down. Actually, after speaking a bit about the record and getting real about stuff. So, but what I see here is the flower motifs, and I might close off on that, and even that central kind of octagram shape actually resembles a flower itself, and flowers are simultaneously something you give to someone on their birthday and on their deathbed as well. So there's that duality there, and I think this entire record will be a group meditation and healing exercise for the band and for Paul, who has been brought in that very close way. I think maybe there was even, again, I'm just envisioning these things, but a scenario where Paul brought this work to Bran, unless Bran had specific ideas of a certain motif, which he has typically expressed that he usually has those. But something tells me that this was the freest rein that Paul himself has been given. You know, a hyena with masks on its back. You know, these very inquiry inviting.
One sec. I didn't get that.
Inquiry inviting motifs, you know. So we're just on the opening trail, the starting steps of this new path, this new journey of Hushed and Grim, and I look forward to the album on October 29th when it comes out. Make sure to visit mastodonrocks.com and let's go through the whole motion, shall we? So you want to also go to the mastodon.lnk.to, which has all the places you can pre-save the album, shop.mastodonrocks.com as well, where the Hushed and Grim editions will be listed soon. And For the Mastodon podcast, it's just everywhere the Mastodon podcast, but it is most active on Instagram. So folks, have a good one, and until next time, bye for now.